Okay, welcome back, Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classics as Non-Classic, episode number 1338 and Doubleshot number 1232. I have two Spider-Man related trades. Yep, like I said earlier, that this would be something if I actually do this, because I wasn't really expecting to do anymore, but I got the trades done, so why not actually do reviews on them? Okay? First up is basically a character I've never reviewed a trade before of hers. Nope. I mean, I reviewed trades with her in it, like her titles in Spider-Woman and Clone Conspiracy, and I've technically talked about her first appearance already. Silk, out of the Spider-Verse. Yeah, I don't really know exactly when in the world Marvel decided to do this. I mean, it's good. It kind of in the way combines the first two trades that collect the Silk ongoing series. Now, this book collects Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4, issues 4 through 6. And of course, they collect one of the stories from Amazing Spider-Man Volume 5. Not the current, actually, it's Volume 3, excuse me. Volume 3, 4 through 6, and 4, the first issue. Yeah, the run that got very mixed reception. Yeah, the stuff for Amazing Spider-Man post Secret Wars was very mixedly received. The only thing I can think of actually was positively received was Clone Conspiracy. Yeah, because a lot of their stuff was very negatively received. And a lot of people were begging Marvel, please, take Dan Slott off the damn book. But this is before that. Okay. Now, 4 through 6 is the original tie-in to Amazing Spider-Man, which has debut of Silk. Now, at the time, she did not wear this attire. She actually put that attire on later. Now, her first outfit is simply her webs wrapped around her own body. Technically, 4 is officially considered to be her first appearance, but actually her first appearance is actually the very first issue of this volume, in a small one-page cameo. Well, they show her hand, per se. That was teasing something a few issues later. And even though, yes, I have technically talked about this before when I discussed the first trade to collect issues from Volume 3, still not really much change here. It's the first story arc for Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3 when it started. It was actually a pretty decent story arc. And a lot of people thought that the story arc that came after this one, that would be the point where Dan Slott left the book. Nope. People thought it would happen at the end of the volume. Nope. And then we had the stuff with Volume 4, which I've already discussed it. Now, these issues are not terribly written per se. Yes, Jameson was an idiot in issue 6 in the storyline when they could have outed Peter Parker as Spider-Man. Now, they still have the whole thing of some lingering plot threads, like for instance, in these issues, they basically cure Electro of his powers, which he's had these powers since debut back in the 60s, and then, like, the following volume, they kill him off at the start of it as a setup for Clone Conspiracy. And in the case of that, you can kind of think of this three-parter as kind of in a way a backdoor pilot to the Silk ongoing series. Now, one person thought that when we had the Silk ongoing series and when it relaunched because of Secret Wars, some mistakenly thought there were only 3 issues published. No. There were not 3 issues published. There were 7. 7 issues. Yes, this is one of those titles that had to hit that restart button because everything had to hit the restart button because of Secret Wars for the all-new, all-different Marvel Now initiative. But before I get to the relaunch of this book, yes, now, the book itself, now, the main book, all the issues for this entire series is done by Robert Thompson. Now, from what I can tell, it's mostly the same artist, the whole run. Yes, it is most the same artist. Now, it is Stacey Lee, which I think she does a great job with the artwork in here. Now, she does the entire first volume for the series. Well, mostly, except for issue 4. Yeah, 4 is the one what she doesn't do. 4 and 7. 4 is done by Alfredo Martino and Tina Ford. The relaunch volume, Stacey Lee does just the opening issue, You have Tina Ford doing issues 2 through 3 and 6, and 4 through 5 by Veronica Fish. Now, the cover art for first volume is by Dave Johnson. The second volume is by Helen Chen. Now, the lingering plot thread we have throughout this volume, and even the succeeding issues, is Silk looking for her family. And mostly put just her going on her solo stuff on her own, also figuring out what happened with her powers. And this is, of course, coming after the events of Spider-Verse. Excuse me. As Hal says, yes, it's out of the Spider-Verse because the storyline itself is set right after the Spider-Verse storyline, which, in my opinion, was actually really good. The follow-up was actually really good as well, even though Dan Slott had nothing to do with it. Even though he's credited as a writer of it, only because he wrote the previous storyline. But in the case of this, now, Silk gets a job working for J. Jonah Jameson as an intern at the Fact Channel. Yes, that's pretty much her job throughout the entire run when she's not being Silk. And, of course, looking for her parents. She also runs a guy who she calls the Pokemon. He's basically for himself as Dragon Claw, who basically, oh yeah, you're the Pokemon guy. Yes, there are common jokes of Pokemon here, which I found to be quite hilarious. It's a good thing Robbie Thompson has some good humor when it comes to his writing. I mean, after all, like few years after he did this book, he of course took over. He was also the final writer for Spider-Man Deadpool, which also featured Silk as a guest star in the book. Yep. And pretty much in these issues, and even the succeeding volume, a lot of the time she's taking on the Black Cat. Now, at first she was taking the Black Cat in those issues, and then in the relaunch she's working for the Black Cat. Now, they do explain how the heck this happened. Is that during the 8-month, yes, 8-month time skip, because everything had to jump ahead 8 months later. But lucky enough, a lot of the books did explain exactly what happened for some of these characters during the 8-month time skip, with the exception of a couple books. The only books that didn't bother to explain exactly what the heck happened during the 8-month time skip was Invincible Iron Man and Spider-Woman. These two were the only ones that never explained what the heck happened during the 8-month time skip. Everything else did, but these two books. Yeah, Bendis apparently just didn't care to explain exactly what happened there. This book actually bothered to explain. Yes, so Silk basically is working sort of an undercover agent for S.H.I.E.L.D. That's not, she's not technically agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. So she basically gets a job to start working for the Black Cat. And also, in the very first story arc, deals with the Goblin Nation. Oh yes, the Goblin Nation. Yes, a lingering plot thread from the end of Dan Slott's Superior Spider-Man run, which got undone basically when he brought back the group toward the end of his actual run for the book. Like, I think it was just a couple years after. I think it was just a year. I think it was just a couple years after. At least a year after the series ended. Now, here's something quite strange. I look up online. Apparently, Marvel's going to revive this series as a miniseries, which, okay. I like that. I mean, Silk herself is a great character, and I think Robert Thompson does a great job writing her. So, at the end of the first arc, they kind of, in a way, get rid of the Goblin Nation. Yeah, all the members are cured, and Phil Urich is hauled off to jail, and it's a great opening story arc for this run. Next thing that comes right after this is Spider-Women, which I've already discussed that. So, next time we talk about Silk, well, for our series, will probably be the second volume for the series. Now, I've already technically talked about Clone Conspiracy, so I probably won't get volume 3. I will discuss the last 2 issues, mind you. But for this actually is pretty good. This book, roughly a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, it's an absolute really good book, surprisingly. And in case you're curious, though, does by the end of the book, does Cindy find her family? Yes. But I'll discuss more about that when I get to the final 2 issues of the run. Yeah, that's something interesting, though, about this book. Because apparently Marvel decided to end the book back in 2017. after 19 issues of the second volume. Overall, if you count the first volume, the series only lasted for 26 issues. Roughly just a little over 2 years. Which is quite surprising. Which, that makes about the same period of time that Spider-Woman lasted for under Dennis Hopeless. Though you would think it's quite strange, though, is that, Spider-Woman gets revived and she gets an ongoing series that started late last year. Silk gets revived gets in her series, but it's a limited series. Does that make any sense to you? Yes. I don't think Silk is a terrible character. I mean, she's Asian. You don't get many Asian superheroes in comic books much anymore. I mean, the most famous one at Marvel that anyone can think of at the top of their head is Shang-Chi. And I believe he's getting I think he's getting an ongoing series come up soon because of the movie coming up in the future. Now, I think I do have a possibility of why they decided to do this now. I think because they featured her on TV in the current Spider-Man cartoon. And I believe she may have featured in the movie Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I think she may have featured in that. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie yet. Yeah. But it makes sense. I mean, some books nowadays, basically some books that since ended, are getting this treatment. Like at Barnes & Noble recently, I saw that the Scarlet Witch series, the entire 15-issue volume, is now in is basically, that was originally collected in 3 trades, is now have 1 trade. I'm not going to get it, mind you, because I already own those issues. I kind of wish they would other books. Now, Scarlet Witch, I kind of get the reason why I did it for that one. Because of WandaVision. And I think Vision got the same treatment too, where his brief ongoing series with Tom, I think that has been collected for a single trade. I don't mind this at all. Now, I did look up and see what exactly is going to be collected in Volume 2. Volume 2 is just going to contain, get this, the Amazing Spider-Man and Silk Spider-Fly miniseries and the Spider-Woman crossover. That's it. That's all the book is containing. And I didn't see anything else if there's going to be a Volume 3 or not for this. If there is a Volume 3, it's probably going to contain issues 9 to 19. That's it. Well, probably also, they probably may include Clone Conspiracy 5, or at least something related to Clone Conspiracy, because, well, toward the end of the run, was signed Clone Conspiracy. I think that may have been the reason why the series got canceled, because people got tired of just tying the crossovers, because it was tied into 2 throughout the second volume's 19-issue run. First, Spider-Woman, which was an interesting crossover, and Clone Conspiracy, which I personally enjoyed, purely because of all the revival of all dead characters that basically brought back in that story. And some of those characters are still around. Like Stiltman was basically brought back in that story because he was originally killed by the Punisher in Civil War 1. Brought back 10 years later. It's an overall good event, and I might just do some other stuff related to it. Alright, let's talk about a different Spider-Man book. This is a completely different continuity. This is Spider-Man Bloodline. This contains the entire 5-issue miniseries by acclaimed movie director J.J. Abrams and his son Henry Abrams. People are thinking, J.J. Abrams, acclaimed director. Wait, he wrote this? Yeah, he did. I was surprised basically this book was announced. Like, really? J.J. Abrams is going to write a comic book? I mean, is he copying what Kevin Smith was doing for years? Basically, where aside from being a very popular movie director, he's also writing a comic book, but he's co-writing with his son. As far as I can tell, this is the first book I've read by either two of them. Yes, of course, people think of, what do people think of when we think of J.J. Abrams? The Star Trek movies, the sequel trilogy for Star Wars, Alias, Cloverfield, bunch of movies. The guy is one damn good director. Now, in this story here, this is similar to what I did for Renew Your Vows, kind of in a way. But here's the thing. Now, in this story, apparently all the superheroes were killed in some big attack. Even though, here's the thing. It's not the post-apocalyptic wasteland like Old Man Logan. This is completely different continuity to that. So, Mary Jane was killed, and also Peter lost his hand during that attack by a bunch of supervillains, which also killed a bunch of superheroes with the exception of Tony Stark and Ironheart. Yes, Ironheart is still alive, though she's a little older. Now, the star of this miniseries is not Spider-Man. It's actually his son, Ben Parker. Yes. In case you're curious, though, Ben Parker is named after Benjamin Parker, Peter's uncle. Yes, he's named after him. Now, in case you're curious, though, there's no signs that Peter and MJ ever had any other children aside from Ben. Because anybody who's read any alternate continuity featuring these two, they generally had a daughter. Like in the MCU universe, they had Mayday Parker. In Renew Your Vows, you had April May. You had April Parker. Actually, it's Annie Parker. Yeah, this is the first one I come across where it's actually a boy. Now, yes, Peter Parker and Mary Jane did technically have a son in MC2, but he came after the daughter was already a teenager. Yep. Now, Peter himself basically is avoiding his own son. And in this story, he apparently... Now, Ben is actually a pretty smart kid. I mean, he stands up to a bully. Though he gets attention for being a bully. I would think he might get maybe like a warning. But, okay, Peter said that apparently the principal was going to suspend him. But he got attention instead. Just for standing up for somebody. Wow. Yep. And then we have a new girl pop up, and she's sort of like like a goth girl who has like green paint in her face. And after chatting for a bit, like apparently she finds out about him being a bully, and it's like, okay, give me your dress. So they apparently at first you have him burning Peter's costume as Spider-Man, and then apparently by the way, he's living with Aunt May, who's actually still very much alive here. Though apparently she's put on a little bit of weight. Yeah, she's put on a little bit of weight for some reason. I'm not really sure why. So you got new costumes. So you have Ben with apparently his girlfriend, and they're pretty much just walking the street, and then all of a sudden apparently something with mask or whatever, and they try to get arrested. I mean, they're just walking the street, not really causing a problem. And then eventually, of course, well, Peter apparently spent some out of the country for some reason. Not really explaining exactly why. Maybe it's on some mission for the government. I'm not really sure exactly what was the reason for it. I mean, he's trying to purposely avoid his own son because of what happened with Mary Jane. Though apparently the Robot Master is here. Yes, the Robot Master. And they also apparently took the time to visit Stark Industries. And apparently the CEO is, of course, Riri Williams, a.k.a. Ironheart. Heck, even Ben Parker knows who she is. Like, yeah, I'm just Riri now. And they go to see Tony Stark, and he's an old man. This is technically the second time I've seen old man Tony Stark. Because if you ever see a film, Next Avengers Tears of Tomorrow, you also have in that one, a old man Tony Stark. Excuse me. Though this one has a man bun. Yes, a man bun. Just cuz. So, at things like convincing, they eventually go and deal with the guy. Of course, Peter comes back, nearly kills him. He basically tries to save his son, but apparently Roadmaster had to first apparently make some dead superheroes, including the Hulk and Captain America, into zombie robots like freaking Deathloks. And then eventually Peter sacrificed himself while seeing apparently Mary Jane has been revived. Yes, Mary Jane is revived thanks to the robot stuff. And then apparently the book ends with a potential, leave it open for a sequel. With Ben getting his own fresh costume. And apparently Mary Jane getting a costume. Interesting. Oh yeah, and they also reveal in the book that Ben has inherited his father's powers, which is awesome. Yep. But in the case of this, it's actually not that bad. It's actually pretty good with this book. Roughly I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. The artwork in here is done by Sarah Pacelli. Great artist. Which kudos the fact they actually picked her to this book, because after all, she has experience drawing Spider-Man. Yep, she has. I believe she's currently the artist for Fantastic Four, if not mistaken. Yes, I believe so. Yep, so yeah, that's it for Cycle Review. Next review, 2 X-Men trades. That are the first of 2 volumes for each of these 2 respective series. Well, these ones, of course, okay? Do the video. Bye.